Hello friends, welcome to my channel Codeunit. Today in this video we will learn about one of the concept of automation testing in Business Central is called test runner. So what exactly the test runner is, as you can understand from the name itself, it's called test runner, which means that it run the test. It run the test functions, or you could say the test code units, like this code unit which you can see here, that it's a test code unit and it has test functions, right? If you see this one, if you see this one, so basically these are test code units, but these all test code units and these test functions are basically run, or we can control the execution of these test functions through test runner, right? So although we do not have to create a test runner on our own for, like, say, custom thing, but because Microsoft already provide the test runner code units in their base applications only. However, just to understand the concept behind what exactly the test runner is, or if we can create any custom one, I'll show you up. So for example, here we can type here T code unit, okay, and then I'll, let's say, number it up and custom test runner. Okay, so when you type here subtype, so here you will see that one of the option called test runner. We have already seen the use case of install code unit, normal code unit, test code unit, upgrade code unit in my previous videos. If you have not seen that, or if you want to understand more about these type of code units, you can watch them. However, this test runner code unit is something which is a different use case, right? So when we select the subtype as test runner, so one important thing is that apart from the trigger on run, which is a default trigger available in this code unit, just like the normal code units, we have other two triggers available, which is called on before test run and on after test run. And if you see the definition, what it is saying, that for on before test run, it is saying runs before a test of a test code unit is run, right? So for example, we have these test code units available. So what that trigger is saying, that this trigger will run before the execution of the test function inside the test code unit, right? And so if you type or select the other trigger, what it is saying, on after test run, is something that it runs after a test of a test code unit has been run, right? So these are like an events which basically helps you to do certain activities before the test function gets executed or after the test function gets executed. Okay, so we will not write the code here in this custom code unit. However, I just like to show you up. For example, when you open the ALT test tool here, so you can see here that in this particular tool we have this header, we have this line section where if I select the get test code units, we can let's say select these three code units, right? So you can see here that this complete tool in itself is actually holds the test code units along with the test functions which are residing in each of the test code unit. And if I really want to run them up, I can click on this run test button. So this shows that basically through this window we can control the execution of all the code units, or if I am interested in running only one test case, then also I can do that stuff. Okay, but however, behind this complete window, UI window, what exactly is running, what engine is exactly running behind this is nothing but this field and the code unit which is mentioned against this field, and that is called test runner code unit, right? So as I told you about in this VS Code, that the test runner code units in itself is basically an engine which helps you to control, like which helps you to not only run the test but also control the execution of each test, right? And then show you up the records one by one for either one particular test or all the code units, like what will be the status, what will be the result of your all test. So basically all you manage to run this thing via, because the code is already written inside this, and this is actually controlling everything. Now when you click on this, you will find that certain test runners are available, but these are cal, so we can skip this up. However, if you see this test runner isolation code unit, test runner isolation disabled. Test runner get methods is something different which we will not cover at this moment, but let's understand the concept of test runner and test isolation, right? Basically what happens is that if I, let's say, run this test case, or if I, let's say, run this test case, which is not only creating a creating a sales order and posting a sales order, right? So if I basically run this selected test, so what it will do, it will first of all create a customer, create an item, create a sales order, and then post it, right? So I got this error at this moment. If I run this one, let's say, so you can see here that now Windows pops up and now Windows is updating as well. Okay, so the values are, and you can see here the result is that it is successful. Now the thing is that when I run this up, you see that window which was which popped up, and it was showing up the values, okay, and it was posting the purchase order, and that means some data was posted into the database. However, if I run it again, you will see this thing information again, that now order 106015 is getting posted, okay. But in reality, when you go back and let's say you want to search the posted purchase invoice section, you will not find them, right? So the last is this one only. If I open this up, it has the different order number. It is not the same order number which we have seen in that progress bar window, right? So how this actually happened, that system is posting an order but I am not seeing the data. So this all is happening because of the test runner code unit, and in our case we have selected by default is isolation code unit. So that's why let's understand the concept of isolation. So let me go back again to the VS Code. After you define the subtype as test runner, there is one more property which is called test isolation. And if you see here, it is of three types. The three types are code unit, disabled, and function. If you don't define this, by default it is disabled, which means that do not roll back any changes to the database. So you can get this from this statement, that if you select the test isolation as disabled, this means that whatever the data your test cases will create into the database will remain there after your test case gets finished running, right? It will not roll back. However, as you can see that in our scenario, the test runner which is got selected is the test runner isolation code unit, which is the type code unit. This means that roll back all the changes to the database after the test code unit finished running, right? And if you select the function, it will also roll back all the changes to the database after the each test function finished running. So there is a difference. So the difference basically is that you can see here that this one code unit is having two functions, this another code unit is having three functions, and so on. So basically right now in my tool I have selected test runner isolation code unit, and by default, as you can see, that system Microsoft also not providing the third type of test runner, which is the disabled one, right? This means that the data will not be rolled back, which is ideally not a good idea, because if you are running the test scenarios, so these are like non-useful data for you, right? And you should not burden up your data, you should not increase the size of your database based on running these test cases, because based on the scenarios, based on the need, we have to rerun multiple times one test case. Just like in this case, I've run this test case twice, right? So unnecessarily it will create the data at customer level, at item level, at order level, at receipt level, at invoice level, right, which is not required. So if you select the code unit of a test runner which is of type disabled, then it will not roll back the changes, which is again create a unnecessary data in your database. But because we have selected code unit, so what exactly happened is that now when I am it actually take care of the complete test code unit. It does not depend on the function. So for example, if you run this code unit, or let's say if you run this particular code unit, then it will run all the three functions, which means that when you are running this test function, and after that this test function gets run, the data will remain there in the database, and when the test case 2 gets finished running, then the data will still remain in the database, and after the test case 3rd gets finished, then only at this point of time, when the complete functions of this one test code units are finished running, then only system will roll back the changes from the database, right? So that is the use case of the type code unit. And the another, which is the function, is something that which will roll back the changes after each function finished running. So for example, if you run this, it creates the data and then it roll back after this finished running, and then this will create in complete isolation, this will run in complete isolation, right? So that is the use case of the type function. So it's totally your understanding, your need, that how you really want to control the execution of your test cases, and how you want to see the data inside your database. By default, the recommendation is that you should select test runner code unit and not test runner function, because rolling back the changes from the database, the data from the database, is also a big activity, and then it takes some bit of time in finishing the execution of your test runs, in case you are running 1000 test cases in this window, right? So you should roll back the changes only after the complete test functions of your one code unit gets run. And sometimes you write the test cases which are dependent on the previous test cases, right? So in that case also you need the data. So that's why the default is, when you create any AL test tool, by default the test runner code unit gets selected as a isolation code unit, right? So that is the complete use case of the test runner. Now, as I said, that although we do not need a custom test runner, because Microsoft already provides the, as I have showed you up, the test runner isolation code unit and the test runner disabled code unit. And if you really want to see it, you can see from here in the symbol AL packages folder. So for that, you just need in your app.json this test runner app. So it is already a dependency, I have made it up in my extension. So due to this, in the AL packages folder, after I downloaded the symbol, it is currently from here you can see, like basically what I can do, I can go to the code units, and from here you can see that test runner isolation code unit, test runner isolation disabled are available. And if I click on this, you can see here that how they have developed this code unit. Basically subtype is test runner, which I told you or explained you the concept behind this. Then the table number test method line. Why the table number test method line? Let's see this. If you basically open the page inspection against this, so you will see here that whether if you place your cursor here, then also table test method line, if you place your cursor here, then also the table test method line. So basically the complete data in this particular tool is actually a part of the table test method line. And as I said before, that this complete test cases, the test code units, like execution control are handled through this test runner code unit only. That it allows you to run single test, it allows you to run the particular code unit tests only, or all the code units which are inside this tool through this test runner. So that is why, in order to give your code unit a complete control over the execution, Microsoft have passed this complete table test method line to this code unit, right? So that's why table number test method line. So now it holds the information of the test suite, and along with the all the test function and the test code units which are inside this tool, right? Now test isolation is code unit, which we have already understood the concept that it will roll back the changes after it finishes the code unit runs, right? So no matter if 10 test functions are available in one code unit, it takes care or it look after only the code unit. Like once the code unit finished running, then only it will roll back the changes, right? Now you can see here the default trigger on run is that al test suite dot get. So basically what it is taking care is that, as you can see here that suite name, if you see here, it is al test suite. So it is trying to fetch the data from the al test suite, that basically which suite is in which I have added all the test code units and I really want to run. So that is why it is taking care. And then current test method line dot copy. Current test method line variable is nothing but the test method line table only. So it is copying all the data which is currently at the record level, current record level, to the variable current test method line. Okay, and then it is using a test runner management code unit in which it is running the function called run test. It is passing that table. Okay, and now the two triggers which you can see, that on before test run, on after test run. On before test run, as I explained, that it handles or it actually takes care of the pre-initialization of all the test cases, like before this starts running up. Like if you really want to initialize certain things, or let's say you want to skip certain code units, so you can handle all this thing through this trigger, right? And then on after test run is something which again takes care of the post processing of the test functions or the test code units, right? So this is how currently Microsoft is handling. In case you really want to do some customization on the basis of your requirement, you can have a look over this code unit and create your own test functions or test runner code units. Like if I show you up the disable type also, you can see here that table number test method line test isolation disable, which means the data will not roll back. So here the code you will find is little bit different than the test isolation code unit, but anyway from the structure point of view, structure perspective, they are again using trigger on run, al test suite table, test method line table, right? same functions they are running and same trigger they are using. Okay, so main code behind this complete execution of the test case is actually running or written in the test runner management. So you can watch it up from here as well if you want. So here from here system is actually taking care or controlling everything from what you are seeing, but that is how the complete structure of the AL test tool is written in the AL language and handled through this test runner code unit. So this is the brief concept about what exactly the test runner code unit is, what exactly the use case of test isolation property, right, and how you can use or how you can create your custom one in order to controlling the execution of your test suites or the test code units, right. So I hope you understood the concept now. Maybe we have not written any custom code because in actual it is not required, because you just have only 2-3 types of cases when you are running the test, like whether you want the data in your system after running the test cases or you don't need the data, right. Then on that basis you can use the base test runner code units and then run all your tests which are inside your AL test tool, right. So that's it in the today's video. I hope you understand the concept now. Now I leave it up to your intelligence at how well you can create your custom ones or how well you will use the base ones in your AL test tool, right. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like it, please hit the like button and please subscribe to my channel.